boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
It's Chris Eubank going for intimidation tactics for the first time in his career. Some of it is choreographed, but the bit when he spoke about him being the villain all throughout his 10-year pro career, booed into the ring ever since his first major fight with Billy Joe Saunders, because he's the son of a British boxing legend, who himself used to get booed into the arenas in the UK up until he fought Carl Thompson and Calzaghe. The boos then turned to cheers. By this time, Chris wasn't a world champion, but because he put up commendable fights against Calzaghe, coming off the canvas to give him all he could handle, and the 2 fights with Carl Thompson at cruiserweights, and although he lost them, the British public fell in love with Chris and the media. It's a British thing. Junior told Conor, "You pissed it all away. You could have been the hero. Chris would have literally died to be the hero." Then Conor telling Chris that his old man didn't like him, couldn't stand to be around him. Chris didn't really have a rebuttal. He ate the shot, but it hurt him. Simon Jordan called Junior a charlatan, and then somehow coerced Chris's dad to agree with his assessment. That had to have an effect on Chris. You add that to his brother passing away the other year. Conor's not going to be fighting the same Chris that Liam Smith fought, or anyone else has fought. I'm not saying it's necessarily going to be a better version of Chris. Time will tell. But this is a Chris Eubank fueled by the siege mentality. He thinks nobody's got his back. Then they had the face-off. He cracked the egg in Conor's head. Nigel grabbed Junior by his neck. Eddie got into something with Benn and it all went off.
Yeah, it's fucking massive, isn't it? You know? I'm telling everyone, on the BBC, I said, "What have you got to say about that?" I said, "Attention, the British public. If you are in the Manchester region tonight and you see Nigel Benn, avoid him at all."
And he gave Benn a little shove. And the British Boxing Board of Control will want to get a hold on this, because they don't need to sell the event. It's sold already.
Tickets go on general sale on Friday at midday, and they're going to go like rockets, and you're going to have 70,000 people there. So let's make sure they make it to the ring.
It can't be elevated to Wembley now.
That's what I was saying. I need 2 Tottenhams now.
I'm glad they're both fired up. Chris needs to be fired up, because Conor is young. He's going to be very strong at the weight, hitting very hard. Chris is going to struggle with the rehydration clause. He's going to struggle with it. He needs to be fired up. Where was this aggression when he fought Billy Joe Saunders, George Groves, and Liam Smith? Why wasn't he trying to intimidate them? I think it works better in Benn's favour, him trying to emulate what his dad did, but it doesn't work for Chris trying to be his dad. It doesn't work for Chris trying to be Roy Jones. Anyway, 1-0 to Eubank Jr.
No, the presser, Eubank, quite amusing, right? At the end, bitch move. Yeah. You've come on the stage with an egg. That's what it was.
We didn't realise that. On his face.
Oh, that's what I thought it was a glass. Honestly,
let's have a look again. Let's bring it back up.
I didn't see that.
None of us saw that. We've just been talking about it for 5 minutes incorrectly.
Bitch move. Not from Chris's perspective. He doesn't like Conor. Conor don't like Chris. Chris has to rein it in a little, because he's not about that life, that road life, and Conor might be served best not to bring up his dad. Bring up Chris's dad.
Ali and I are both saying, "Oh, that was a bit over the top, to be honest, with the egg in the face, the slap." How did you see it? Was it disrespectful? Is it a gimmick, or was that bang out of order?
Of course, it wouldn't be nice to be the one getting egged, but it has made the fight even bigger.
The British Boxing Board of Control do not want this fight to go ahead. Just in case some of you didn't know, they don't want it to go ahead. Before, it was all about Conor's issues with the banned substance. It's gone beyond that now. And if there's another incident like what we saw on Tuesday, they may well withdraw licensing this fight. They may well do. Like, the board should have a condition that at press conferences, weight ins or any other media related event to the fight, if the combatants put their hands on each other in an aggressive manner, we will withdraw license of this event. Simple. And you won't get paid.
I believe the British Boxing Board of Control have written to Eubank and called him before the board for his actions, and we had a call from Robert Smith today to say, look, I want to know what your plans are for Thursday.
They were supposed to do a gloves are off today. That's been cancelled as a result of what happened on Tuesday. And Thursday, there will not be a face-off. There will likely be a partition between them. I'm not sure if it will be a fence. David Haye, Derek Chisora style. Now, Eddie Hearn says the rehydration, the £10 rehydration was written in the contract. Eubank and Benn Shalom, they claim that Benn and Hearn tried to get it in there at the last minute. And as a compromise, Chris and Benn agreed to it. Chris made a big deal of it and then said it won't make no difference anyway. Then he said, of course it will affect me. He's got to restrict his calorie intake. So he's going to have to decide whether he restricts his calorie intake or at the last minute he'll take a sauna and get the weight off. He said he'll have to just decide on the day. Doesn't he know that it's illegal under the British Boxing Board of Control rules to use saunas to take weight off? Does he realise he could get the fight cancelled by doing that? And he's all over the place. He said that right in front of the media. Hey, listen, man. Years back when Lee Purdy, a Matchroom fighter, went across the pond to challenge Devon Alexander for the IBF welterweight title, an inexperienced rookie named Eddie Hearn went on social media and said, my dad is in a sauna house with Lee Purdy trying to get the weight off. He didn't make the weight, so he wasn't eligible to fight for the title. The fight went ahead and he got stopped. When Frank Warren got wind of this social media post, he read the Hearns the riot act because you're not allowed to do that. And he could have lost Lee Purdy the payday. So 1 minute, Junior is saying he doesn't like the way they put the rehydration clause on there. And then he's saying it won't be an issue. He's going to win the fight anyway. He's a little compromised in his own mind about a rehydration clause. And there's a penalty if he doesn't make that rehydration weight of 170. A financial penalty. I don't know where Conor heard that he owes Neymar, the footballer, $4 million. But if he does have any money worries, he's not going to want to pay that penalty. Then you had Benn and Eubank trying to say, well, they had to pay us to get us to agree to the rehydration clause like it was a flex. It's a 60-40 split in Chris's favour. So I don't want to hear anybody saying if Chris loses, he lost because of the rehydration clause. No excuses. None of this Conor is jumping up 2 weights and he was up against the bigger man. That's why he lost. No excuses. I saw what Chris was trying to do. He's trying to turn the British public and the boxing world against Conor. He kept bringing up the indiscretion with the banned substance. Conor just said, I was cleared. I was cleared by people a lot cleverer than you. And Chris didn't like that, the way Conor easily rebutted him. And the whole thing about, oh, we're both villains, we're both villains. Chris wants to be the hero. He wants the British public to adopt him as the hero who punishes the evil Conor Benn and banished him away from boxing. I see what he's trying there. And it looks like he's going to get his way with that. There's a lot of people in the UK who dislike Conor Benn. So Chris better perform because they may adopt him as the hero for this fight. But if he loses, the same ones who want him to beat Conor are a fickle lot. And he can find himself hated more than ever. Because those who want him to beat Conor, for whatever reason, have the same mentality as those who used to boo his dad into the ring when he was champion, undefeated, and then started cheering him when he no longer had belts and was losing. It's a British thing, y'all. It's a British thing. Is Chris trying to get out of the fight? Throwing hands at Conor, talking about he's going to get a sauna to make the rehydration weight. Benn Shalom probably hasn't read the rule book. Then you can't do that. And if you are going to do it, the last thing you need to do is put it out in social media. That's the last thing you need to do. It was just a couple of years back when John Real Casemiro was supposed to defend his WBO bantamweight title against Paul Butler in Liverpool. The British Boxing Board of Control somehow got evidence that Casemiro was using a sauna to make weight. He completed 2 check weights, and apparently the 2 check weights have shown an alarming reduction in weight of 10 pounds in only 3 days. Fight got cancelled. And then the WBO gave him 14 days to explain why he should not be stripped of the belt, and his belt was gone. I'm banking on Eubank to be too strong for Conor. But this is not my final prediction, because his head is all over the place. Let me tell you that now. Chris might go take the sauna. And if they find anything irregular, they'll cancel the fight and he won't get paid. But what's Ben Shalom going to do? Ben Shalom ain't going to tell Chris, you better not take the sauna. He's scared of him. Chris told Ben that I don't want you or Eddie to speak. Ben just obliged, he doesn't want her to speak. The promoter isn't supposed to just shrivel up in the corner at the press conference. You're supposed to promote the show. That's what you're getting paid for. Not to be told to shut up by a fighter. There's other Sky fighters on the card who need to be promoted. What, are you going to do it, Chris? I understood him telling Eddie to shut up because he's not his promoter, but you're telling your own promoter to shut up. And Ben done what he was told.
A recall is a lot worse than it used to be. So, you know, in my 20s, if I couldn't remember something, I'd sit there and within 5 seconds, I get it. You know, you do that thing when you think about it. Oh yeah, that's what it is. Now it's 10 minutes. You know, it's really embarrassing to say, but I forgot the name of somebody one time. It took me a week, every day, sitting there, like throughout the day, whenever I would remember, what was the name? And then a week later, bang, it just came to me.
So that's Chris bravely confessing that his boxing career is leading to memory loss. Last year, when he fought Zerameta, he was walking around with a sword, telling Eddie, it's real, it's a real sword. Almost as if to say, you want me to test it out on you? The memory loss could be a doorway to mood swings, mental health issues. I mean, what he did on Tuesday was out of character. People who don't understand fighting think you need to hate somebody to beat them. But I keep hate and anger out of boxing because it causes mistakes. This is a Chris Eubank Jr. quote. He got that from his dad. His dad said that, and he's repeating it. This was a few years back. But whereas his dad practiced and preached it all through his career, doesn't look like Eubank Jr. is upholding the Warriors Code, the blueprint that his dad set for him. Not looking at Tuesday's spectacle. And he's been through a lot with his dad and his brother. Got stopped for the first time in his career, 2023. He did avenge the loss, but there's something not quite right. Then you look at the outburst in Riyadh when he started calling Frank, the Sowlands, and Eddie scumbags. Then shortly after we saw him with the sword. This isn't just to sell fights. Nobody's really picked up on it that he was acting peculiar in a press conference. He was rambling and rambling about the details on the rehydration clause, just rambling and rambling on. And the fight's all been signed up for. Whatever happened, they came to a deal. He's agreed on it, Conor's agreed on it, Benn's agreed on it, Hearn's agreed on it. And he was just rambling. He parted ways with his dad. His dad said Junior told him to leave the camp. But when Dad leaves the camp and you're left with choices, shall I go play poker or do that 6-mile run that his dad would have him doing? The Chris Eubank story might not unravel in the ring against Conor Benn. It might not. If he continues boxing, it will unravel. Senior is an eccentric. He is. But he's very insightful. Well, I know if Senior was there, you wouldn't have saw what happened on Tuesday. There's just no way he would have did it if his dad was in the camp. And somebody needs to talk to him, check him, before it unravels. And it might not be in the ring. It might be outside the ring. He's not a road man. And how he handled that situation on Tuesday, in another scenario, with other people, is not going to end well for him.